Record. Yes, there will be a record. And um, okay, so welcome to the Plotdrive Basics. I am Scott. I am the co-founder of Plotdrive. My brother and I have been writing and telling stories since for many many years over various medium. Um, for screenwriting, for virtual reality, video games, and most recently for novels. So you're in good company, and I think everyone here. Well, let me actually ask. Let's get some. Let's take a poll. Who here has finished a book before? If you want to, there's a chat at the bottom of the Zoom. If you want to just kind of say yes, I have, or no, this is my first. I have like I want to, but I want to finish a book. Okay, Natalie says, yes, I was wondering. Sorry. Me, very planning, yes. Okay, awesome. And then is the rest of the group very new and kind of wants to write a book? Yes, about 10, but struggle with finishing things. Okay, awesome. Four finished, none published. Very cool, very cool. And let me get a sense of, let me just keep adding. More people are joining. Welcome, welcome. Let me get a sense if you could also put in chat the genre that you're focused on. Maybe your current project or previous projects, whether it's romance, romantasy, thriller, mystery, nonfiction, memoir, biography, mainly thrillers, fantasy. Awesome. Cozy mystery and rom-com. Excellent. For myself, I'm working on sort of a cozy coffee shop literary fiction. I'm reading a lot of the Japanese coffee shop uh, novels right now about just vignettes of characters in coffee shops. Okay, we got crime thriller, we got romance, suspense, revenge, and sci-fi. Excellent. I love to see this. So okay, I'm gonna get into it. We all face blocks, writing blocks in our lives, whether that is knowing how to stick the landing of finishing a book, getting stuck in the messy middle, or zooming out, like we don't have enough time in our lives and we're trying to fit writing in as a consistent habit, or just not knowing where to begin and kicking off that brainstorming session. These are some blocks that all writers at every level, I think, face. And what's great about Plotdrive is that we've designed it with these tools to help you overcome your blocks. We've seen it done. We've seen it done successfully. We've seen people in the community finish a book and finish series and finish multiple books and have success using Plotdrive to do that. And we share some of those stories on our website, on the Plotdrive customer success stories. We've got we've got gothic romantasy with fairy tale elements baked in. Love it. Okay, I'm adding some more people are joining. That's fantastic. So let me move this. Let me get situated here. I'm going to move some screens over. Welcome, welcome. British Bake Off is a dream. Love it. Okay, so again, this is going to be Intro to Plotdrive Basics. I'm going to share my screen. This 30-minute session is going to be about just navigating the workspace, and I'm going to familiarize you with a lot of the buttons that you might be seeing on the screen, but wondering sort of what they do. And so by the end of this session, I'm very confident that all of us will have just a better way of navigating the workspace. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's see. Can everyone see my screen right now? You should be looking at a Plotdrive workspace. And let me bring up the chat. Where did the chat go? Let's see. Chat. Move chat to my other screen. Okay, can everyone see the screen? Could I just get like a thumbs up from someone in chat? 180K written. Celine says 180K written since start of year. Feeding my chapters in for analysis. Okay, awesome. Yes, and welcome Jay. Jay is also my co-founder of Plotdrive. He can also help answer questions. If anyone has additional questions, feel free at any point. If you have a question, feel free to use the chat, and I will take a moment to answer it, and or Jay can also help chime in through chat. Okay, so what we're looking at right now is the Plotdrive workspace. I'm going to start from scratch, meaning like we're coming in and we want to write a book and we want to create a project. So when we log into Plotdrive, we're just going to hit this main workspace. What we want to do is create a new project. To do so, I'm going to go to the top left of the workspace, and you can see if you follow my mouse over here, Open Projects Dashboard. So if I click this, it's kind of this icon is four squares. It will navigate us to our projects dashboard where we can create and manage the projects, the different books that we're working on. So also on the projects dashboard, you have some interesting, you have a community leaderboard so you can see the collective, what kind of word counts our sort of pro writers are managing. Like the workflow is pretty staggering and impressive. You can also see like a collective total word count and a featured video with some tutorials that we've created over the past year or so about tips and tricks
Yeah,
for writing a novel.
I've got some nice ones out there. I didn't
So
get a lot. I thought I'd be going down Morrison's, but
let's see. And if you could, I'm gonna ask if you could just mute yourself. I'm not sure who that is, but okay, thanks. I think that was good. Okay, so we're gonna create a new project. So
oh,
at the,
sorry.
that's okay. Thank you. So we're gonna create a new project here at the top right, this blue button called New Project, and I'm just gonna call it Basics. So we can run the, let's see, should I run the project setup? Um, do you have templates? That's a good question. What kind of templates are you interested in? Yeah, so maybe I'll run us through this project setup. So when we create a new project, I can check on this run project setup, which runs us through the onboarding of a project. So let me go ahead and click create. And then, okay. So when you're new to Plotdrive, you set up a project. We're gonna go through this. So we want to start something from scratch. So I'm gonna click start something new. What do we feel like doing right now? Probably for me, plan or brainstorm. I used to be a pantser. Um, I've switched recently to being a plotter. I found that's just way better for how I think and how I work. So I'm gonna do the planning stage first. And I plan everything in advance now. So I'm gonna select this, and you can see you have different options that you can scroll through. You can select from using left click on your mouse on desktop. What tends to get in your way? So this is again like what kind of blocks do you experience in your own writing? So for me, I think I either sort of second guess myself, like I think there's like a better thing that I can replace it with, or I'm looking for I kind of get, yeah, let's say I second guess myself. What am I working on right now? For this one, we're gonna do a book, and then it says, "What's your idea?" Just enough to help Plotdrive know where to start. And so there's these tabs for fiction or nonfiction. So for this one, I was thinking of just showing just the early. Let's try romance. That's where my head's at right now. So let's do fiction. Tell us what you're thinking. I want to write a romance book uh, about a firefighter in Los Angeles fighting the wildfires, the LA wildfires, um, and a Hollywood author who's researching her next uh, her next big book. Let's try that. That's just off the top of my head. Let's click next. Okay, So now I can go in and describe my style. This is going to be intro to Plotdrive basics. So for now, we're just going to look at um, these four are kind of pre-selected styles. So we have literary, concise, explanatory, formal. I think in another course, we'll probably training course will probably go into like creating your own voice, which is a very powerful um, tool that our pro writers use to get better generations out of their writing. So they create the name of the game in Plotdrive is kind of managing all and creating rich and dense context so that it understands your voice better. But for now, just to keep things simple, I'm going to choose literary. I think that closely matches the style of the current book that I'm writing, and I'm going to click literary. Okay. So then it says set up co-writer. You can check this, keep this on for now, auto mode recommended. In another training course, we're also going to talk about co-writer, which is a super powerful feature in Plotdrive that has an AI agent integrated. If I can just get a quick show of hands, actually, where are we coming from in terms of our experience of learning and understanding AI? Are we coming from like ChatGPT, or are we coming from like I've used Claude Code, Claude projects, agents, and these terms are super familiar to me. If you could like post in chat, are you coming in more from like ChatGPT? I understand that, or like if I say agents, if I say like Claude Code, Claude projects, those things, you have kind of a working definition of those. Okay, Manus is my guy. I've dipped in. ChatGPT, Claude, not Cowork. Been trying out the different agents and trying to pick one to help out. Awesome. Okay, so Plotdrive has an agent. It's called Co-Writer. It's super powerful. We will cover that in another course, but for now, just keep auto mode recommended, turned on, complete setup. Oop. Let's see. So what is going on? I've run into maybe a little bit of a hiccup with the complete setup. However, um, I will take a look at that. Jay, I'm going to flag that. But after you hit complete setup, it will take you into your project. And let me kind of bring us into what that project workspace looks like. Oh, so people are saying Cloud projects, ChatGPT, multiple agents, haven't done too much with AI, but trying to learn. Awesome. And it's finding the right voice. Lot got flat. Yep. Been trying to different agents, help pick one out. I've only used Plotdrive Co-Writer. Awesome. Okay. So we go through that onboarding, and we'll come into a project that resembles this. This is the way to think about Plotdrive is kind of you can group things into like the left side of the workspace, the middle, and like the right side. So I'm gonna talk about the left side first. So on the left side is where we organize and manage all of our documents and folders. And to do that, there's this nifty plus button at the top, and I'm using the left click button on my mouse. I can create as many folders as possible, and all I'm doing is left clicking. So that's one thing. I can also use this caret drop down to the right of the plus icon to either create a new document or create new folders. So as you can see, I click it, it generates it. And then I can type in the name for that folder. Let's call it components. I can also double click on any document to rename it. So I can rename this one to premise. I can rename this to characters. I can rename this one to outline. So, and I can left click any of these items and also drag it into a different order. I can also move it into a folder. So for example, if I wanted to, I can click drag the premise document into the components folder, which I'm going to do now. And if I hover with my mouse over any of these items, you see I get these three dots icons next to them, which provide more operations that I can do on each item. So this, I can rename it here, I can duplicate, I can move it to the trash. So if I move it to the trash, for example, this outline document, it will appear at the bottom of the left sidebar here. And if I want to get it back, all I have to do is go into the trash and then click this clock icon with restore. And if I go back, it's back here. Easy as that. Reminds me of Scrivener, except online with AI features. Yeah, so like what we're looking at right now is like if you're coming from Scrivener, if you're coming from Google Docs, this might look fairly similar. It is it is equipped with very powerful AI tools that will help with all of your writing blocks. And we'll cover that in another session. I'm thinking of creating an Intro to Plotdrive Basics 2, where we'll get more into AI models, choosing your model. But for now, I'm just going to cover sort of all these buttons that are appearing in your workspace and how to more easily navigate it to get set up for success. So these are also in the left-hand sidebar. I have an import button at the top, so I can click import and I can drag and drop. So for example, if I have a docx from Microsoft Word, from Google Drive, if I have a series of files that I want to bring in, like my research or my notes, my world building notes, I can drag and drop them in here and import them. And then once I do that, it will appear, I can preview the files and then they will appear in the left sidebar and I can organize them as I'd like. Yep, Jay says, happy to answer additional unrelated questions to what I'm covering about Plotdrive during the session. Feel free to drop in the chat. Thanks, Jay. So each time I create a document, right, that is what this main workspace here in the middle is showing. So for example, if I click to the premise document, I am now inside the premise document here, and I can just freely type like an LA firefighter. It's a romance story. And this should seem very familiar if you're coming from Scrivener, if you're coming from Microsoft Word, if you're coming from Google Docs, right? So I'd like, if you wanted to, you could just use Plotdrive like that. That's totally fine. But it can do so much more. And it's a romance story about LA firefighter and a Hollywood author who's researching her next big novel. Okay, let's see. So I can type in here and let's show export. So let's say for whatever reason you need to export for publication, you want to back up your files for whatever reason. The export button's also located on this left sidebar at the bottom. And I can go here and I'm going to show you the workflow for how to export. So I click the export button and it is like a menu. So I'll show you what the options are. So the first thing we can do is actually we can select the specific documents that we want to have export. So we can select all of them, or we can just select, I just want to export my premise and show it to a friend, get some feedback, or I want to export these three. So that's the first section. Then we want to select the file format to export. So currently we offer docx, but we also support exporting as markdown here and as plain text in txt file format. And then the third option that we need to select to complete our export is whether we want to export as individual documents or as combined document. So if I choose to export as individual documents, what I will receive is a file that contains like a premise docx, a characters docx, and an outline docx. The other option to export as combined document, what it does is it aggregates all of the documents into a single document that looks more closely like you would be ready for publication, or if you want to try to like read through it, that's a good option to choose from as well. So once I choose one of these, like I'll go ahead and choose like export. I can name the folder. I can rename it here. Sorry. I can choose if I'm working draft or completed draft, and then I click save and finish. And that export will appear in your downloads folder once it's done exporting. Oh, let's see here. Let me rename it to romance story. Let's go back here. Premise. Let's see, export is combined. Save and finish. There we go. Okay, so the export was successful and it shows up in the downloads folder in whatever browser you're using. So right now I'm using Google Chrome. That'll show up in my downloads window here, and then I can open it on my computer. I can also, let's see, there's also at the bottom left sidebar these tutorials too, which is super nifty. So over the past year, we've been creating content with tips and tricks for helping to get set up and write. This will take you to our learning library, and we've created a library of video content and walkthroughs for how to use Plotdrive and how to get set up for success. But if there's anything that we haven't covered here that you'd love to see, feel free to email us, and we'd love to create like a short video for that. But you could just really teach me about novels, and if you type that in, the videos will surface, the ones that we've created so far. So that's a cool tool to take. Natalie's saying, I love tutorials, but I think the link should open a new tab by default. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Appreciate it. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Plotdrive. So the covered like the left side of the workspace, and let's talk about the middle, the central part of the workspace for a second. So it looks like a word editor. That's basically it. It's a document that I can type into. And at the top, there should be a very familiar formatting toolbar. So I have options to bold, italicize, underline, strike through, right? There's a right here. I also have options to change the text color, the highlight color, to clear any formatting as well, and the text alignment. I also have my search and replace tool right here. If I highlight any text in the document, I can add a comment to it right here. So I can say, need to develop this hook and pitch further out. Let's see, I've got undo and redo buttons right here. At the top here next to the Plotdrive logo, there's this hamburger menu. If I click that hamburger menu, I can actually close the left sidebar. Sometimes I do this just to have like a focused, like a wider real estate of my main screen. But if I want to see my documents at any point, I can just click this hamburger menu at the top left again, and it'll bring it right back up. In another training session, I will cover these sort of tools over here. These are very powerful AI tools that help with your generations, with brainstorming, refining, selecting an AI model. I just think for the purposes of this basic session, I'm not going to cover those right now, but just know that right here are your AI tools for what really makes Plotdrive shine. Let's see. Okay, so let me quickly cover in the remaining time the right side of the screen. So at the top right, you'll see this kind of circle with the letters JS. This is my settings menu. And so I can go into settings right here. I can also manage my subscription and my billing. I can upgrade, I can downgrade, I can cancel. All those options exist in this setting menu. I also can toggle on and off the word counter for the document. So if I toggle this off, you'll see it disappeared from the bottom of my document here. But if I toggle it back on, I can see my word count, 20 words. I also have the option to toggle on and off streaks. So streaks is something that if you if you're want to set a daily writing goal for yourself or see how many days you've come in consistently to hit your writing goals, there's a streaks counter at the bottom as well. We currently have three Plotdrive themes. So I'm using dark mode right now. I spend a lot of time on the computer, and dark mode is what works for me in terms of my eyes right now. But if you want a higher contrast, you can switch to light mode. I'll show that very quickly. So this is light mode. It's super bright, but really good contrast. We also have like a sort of in between. It's called quiet mode, and then the one that I'm going to stick to is dark mode. We have a logout button, and we have a button to join our community. So in settings, real quick, up the top, I can click settings. I can get more advanced settings. Um, I'll probably go into depth on those in another live training session. But no, I can manage my account here, and this is where I can see my credits, manage my credits, which are used to power our AI tools in Plotdrive, and check out other resources, our YouTube videos, our written documentation. Now, let's say the final thing before I go is, I mean, I can take some questions as well, is let's say you wanted to reach out to us for a support question. Where's the best place to do that? So at the bottom right of the at the right side of the Plotdrive workspace, at the bottom right, there's this co-writer icon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to left click on co-writer. And what I'm going to do is go to where it says the chat mode selector here at the bottom left. It says ask, agent, or support when I hover my mouse. I'm going to switch it to support. I'm going to create new support chat, and I'm going to ask it for a support question. The way this works is the support chat is connected to an agent that has awareness of our knowledge base that will try to help answer and troubleshoot anything you're going through at the time of your writing. But just know also that if at any point you need to escalate it to a human member on our team, we're able to see these messages and we will hop in. We're typically available Monday through Friday during normal business hours, and Saturday and Sunday we take off to recharge. But just know we've got your back, and we're here to answer any question. And just remember, if once you send a support message, you can kind of switch back to either of these modes, for ask or agent, for co-writer, which I'll cover in another training session on getting started with co-writer. So, okay, that's 30. Hopefully this was a decent overview of navigating the Plotdrive workspace, and you're a little bit more familiar with what these buttons do. Does anyone have a, and for those joining late or now, welcome. Don't worry about it. This is being recorded, and the recording will be shared. So if you missed anything, we've got you covered. If anyone has any questions right now and has a couple minutes or two and you'd like to post them in chat, feel free to do so. Myself or my co-founder Jay is here. We'd be happy to answer them right now. Any questions? Okay, if you do have a question for anything that pops into your head afterward, feel free. Oh, Michael said, really interested in seeing more co-writer and those AI tools in action. Any idea when those tutorials might be? Yes, so we have one coming up, I believe, on Friday. You want to check to stay up to date with these. We want to check our calendar at like luma.com/plotdrive. And you will see these. The courses will get added at the beginning of each week. And I think I'll also send out a community email blast, just making sure everyone's aware of when these times are. But we can see that coming up Friday, we have quick start Plotdrive using co-writer, which will be basics of using co-writer. for brainstorming and refining your story components. And then next week we'll have another intro to Plotdrive Basics, but I'm also going to add an intro to Plotdrive Basics 2, which will cover those some of those AI tools at the top of the sidebar, at the top of the main workspace that I didn't get time to cover today. Let's see. If you skip the initial, can you set up multiple voices in the customization? Okay, so Holly's asking, can you set up multiple voices in the customization for multiple pen names? That's interesting. Jay, do you want to take that one?
Well,
And
look,
then,
it's a good, yeah, so I'll take that along with if you skip the initial setup process, how do you get the AI to recognize your voice? I think like the biggest thing, the biggest concept to sort of hold in mind, I mean, I'll explain this specifically, but I just want to zoom out and talk about the biggest concept to hold in mind with like novelists who use Plotdrive to stay in continuous flow. Some of the most successful using Plotdrive are writing commercial fiction in series, and they're managing multiple series with multiple pen names. So they're really doing high volume production, and these series are loved by readers as well. So, in order to have a book that's loved by readers, you need a unique voice, you need to have something to say, you need to have a great story. Story needs to stay consistent. How do you do that? Like, how do you control the AI in order to do that? I think the most important thing I can really say about this is these documents in your sidebar having like we call it when we set up your project automatically, story foundations. You can rename that or call it whatever you want. A folder with some key documents inside of it that explain like your book's premise, almost like how you would pitch it to a friend, or the back cover blurb. We call it hook and pitch. You can call it whatever you want. It's just a document with that text in it, it's character profiles, having descriptions of your setting, your themes, and then most importantly, or equally as importantly, but really important in relation to voice, a document called like writing style guide. And so you can have a different writing style guide in every single project that you have. So you can think of that like if I have, one, let's say I'm doing a romantasy series and I'm doing like a crime thriller, I'm doing cozy mystery. For one, I'm gonna have different characters in each project, but two, I'm gonna have a different point of view, a different writing style for each of these. And so in this writing style guide, the best thing you can do, it's like basically instructions to the AI, sort of like follow this style when you write. And so if I just wrote in here, like follow this style when I write, and it's just like, I want to write concisely, it'll like come up with its own definition of concisely and then write that way. It's not going to be very good. The best writing style guides are going to be like probably a few thousand words. You can work with uh, Plotdrive directly to help you develop these, or you can develop them yourself. But really, where the AI models thrive is if you give it examples of what good is. So you might like have a description like, I am writing a cozy mystery. I'm doing it from uh, third person point of view, a very tight, limited perspective, and um, in the style of like describe the style in a few sentences or a few paragraphs, but then giving it examples of like what good is, like here's how uh, prose description should look. Here's what dialogue should look like. Here's what internal monologue from the protagonist's point of view, uh, stating who your protagonist is. And then also some directions at the end on like what the AI should never do. Like, never use cliched language. And again, give it examples. You can work with co-writer, which is the right panel. It's that little blue button on the bottom right, and just talk to it about like I need a good writing style guide. One of the things that I do when I'm writing a book, especially in a new genre, or like I'm trying to learn the rules of a genre, or I'm trying to do something that I haven't done before, which goes for like really any new if you ever find yourself in the situation of like, I'm not sure what this voice should sound like, or I don't really know the rules of what readers like in this genre, one of the things that I'll generally do when I start a project in order to develop this writing style guide, I'll talk to co-writer and I'll be like, okay, I have my story idea. I want it to be like this. It's in this genre. What are like the best-selling titles in this genre that readers love? And like, how does my book fit in to stand out among those if they were all on a shelf together? And then what are the writing styles of these other books, like my comps? And then it'll give me some information, and I'll be like, that'll usually give me some ideas. And then I might be like, okay, can you show me like three different like variations on what you think would be good given what you know about my protagonist? And like again, this is like the AI is going to be much better. You're going to have much more helpful responses the more you know. So like if you don't know your protagonist, it's going to give you some generic ideas that might inspire you. You might be able to like pants your way there. But if you've already given it like a detailed character profile and that's in your folder on the left sidebar while you're sort of planning this out, it's going to dig into that and be like, oh yeah, this protagonist has like this pain in the ass cat that he is got a codependent relationship with, and that comes out in the way he thinks or whatever. It's going to give you examples, and then you can just be like, once you get somewhere good, you can say, okay, help me put co-writer in agent mode, help me write this writing style guide, and it'll draft it for you. And again, like the more you sort of understand what good context is, which sort of comes just with the territory of working with AI to draft books and to edit books, like, but the more you understand what good is, or start to get a sense of judgment and taste around like what good is, the better results you'll get. So it's a long-winded way of saying like you can create writing style guides in any project. They're unique to each project. Um, the better those guides are, the like better the quality of your stories will be because the voices will be more unique and they'll really start to sing. AI can follow directions really well, and so the key is like making sure it has the right directions and like the best way to get a feel for what good is. It's like there really is no magic bullet. It's going to be a bit of trial and error, being like, ooh, I really like this output, and this other output is like too bland or generic. It's going to be like, no substitute for like reading widely in the genres that you're going after and writing a lot. Like I always try to. I find the shortcut. This will be the last thing I say on this topic because I'm on a monologue now. But my shortcut is like, can I like find the voice of this new story, um, like kind of on my own? Like, can I sort of catch a few sentences that sound good and then put them in there and then use the AI to help me like build them out? Because I find that like I've written enough at least where like I can write some stuff that I feel like, oh yeah, like I would get into this, like I would read this, and then giving that as like a little hook for the AI to blow out and make way better and kind of find the core of what I think is good about it gets me pretty far, and then it can flesh out the like 3,000 word or whatever writing style guide. Um, does the style guide make a big difference in using co-writer for editing, which is what I primarily use Plotdrive for? It can, yeah. I mean, it depends. I think like if you've got like say a full book and it's already got your voice, and so everything that you've got inside of Plotdrive is just your writing, and you're asking it to make edits. I think you want to make sure that you give co-writer instructions like follow my voice, and my voice is just defined by all my book, which you have. So a shortcut for that might be just having like a document called writing style guide at the top of your hierarchy that says something like, what follows is my book. If you're making any edits, make sure you edit in in the style of the voice you find in my chapters. Do not deviate. Do not use generic default AI model isms or whatever. Like that can certainly help it if you find that it's careening off the rails or offering you stuff that feels like it's not you. And I'd play around with that a little bit. And I'd try some like things that might be cheap operations just to experiment. Like the cheapest operation could be starting a new chat and having just one chapter toggled on and saying, make this specific edit in the first paragraph and seeing what it does and just judging based on that. I think you want a discerning eye. I always think about using AI, and this pertains to like not just writing, but any type of work with AI models where you want to try to minimize the surface area that they can make mistakes because it's not like you flip a light switch and the light turns on and you flip a light switch and the light turns off. These models, the way they are built and trained, they're non-deterministic. So sometimes when you flip the switch, like every time you flip the switch, it's almost like you're going to get a little bit of different color light. And so the bigger and bigger tasks you give the AI that you're not like directly overseeing and making a decision on, it can save you a lot of time and be incredibly powerful. But the trade-off is you open up more surface area where it can make mistakes. And then you're gonna have to like go in and especially with writing and if you're nonfiction or fiction, like readers have just like we all have a keen eye for consistency breaking in any way because it's like mind to mind, thought to thought. If there's any little disruption in that connection, it's just like the reader sees it. So the bigger you ask, for example, with editing, if I were to like have like a 10 chapter first act or something, and then I told co-writer like read all 10 chapters and give me your developmental edit critique and drop them as comments on every chapter, and then I didn't read the comments and was like, or maybe I read like the first two comments and I was like, oh yeah, that sounds pretty good. Okay, make all the edits. I think it could definitely go off the rails there because I'm not really closely looking at it. Whereas if I had to go chapter by chapter, I'm almost always getting better results. And also it's just like easier for me to hold it in my brain and be able to be like, oh yeah, that's a good comment. No, that one's not great. Or like always like, wait a second, like what is this? This doesn't even like pertain to my story. And then uh, often the reason is like, oh, I didn't realize I had like this other document that I totally forgot about because my sidebar has like 10 folders and 50 documents or whatever. And I have some document that's toggled on that was just ideas that I had for a completely different story that I put in here and I totally forgot that it was on. But now that AI is reading it, I didn't even realize. So um, yeah, I mean, I hope that's helpful in some way. I think a thing that a lot of people come to understand the more they work to use AI to like in their workflows to write books, I think is like there is a trade-off between speed and quality. And like part of the goal is to like figure out how to tune your own workflow to be able to give you the most creative velocity at the highest quality. And there's no matter what, there's still no substitute for like looking at what is happening and sort of making your own choices. And AI can be incredibly helpful in that way, but where it gets frustrating is like when it doesn't follow your directions, or when it messes up story consistency, or when it sounds generic, or when it does something dumb, and then suddenly you're like, it's broken flow, now you have to go fix its problem. So personally, I always try to like minimize that surface area where it could cause me problems because I get the most speed bonus and I also get the most quality bonus with the least frustrations. Um, yeah, Celine, I can totally understand that. I mean, you'd be surprised. Some writers come in and they're just like, they have a book and they ask the AI edit the whole book in just one prompt, and they're not going to get great results, which I think is the point of it all is like ultimately you want to write a story that only you can tell, and you want to use whatever tool can help you get you there. And there's a major difference, like finishing a book is a huge milestone. Finishing a draft, huge milestone. Plotdrive can certainly help you. Plotdrive can certainly help you like take an idea and like work with the AI almost as a creative director to draft a book, and that feels really satisfying. And then, but like going that extra distance to then edit it, make it great, make it your own, and put it on market so it satisfies readers, and then like you build a readership, build an audience, make a series that people love, make a couple of books, build just and build your own like our own minds and development of like why we want to live a creative life, just get better at what we're doing. I think um like that is the power. And I say it's like it's done that for me too, and I've had to think about this thoughtfully. And every book that I've written with AI and before AI, it's like been a different thing that's taught me something different. But we definitely see it in the most successful novelists who use Plotdrive, who are, some of them are pretty well known and commercially successful, and like they like their books are great because they were great writers before they came to Plotdrive. Plotdrive helps them go faster, helps them like juggle multiple projects. It helps them break some blocks faster than they might have on their own. But like the they're books that AI have helped enable to produce, like they were writing great books before. And so everybody's on that journey of like getting better at the craft, and AI adds a different element to it. Totally agree, Holly. Like, yeah, when you want to, that's the art of it or the craft of it, is like getting a sort of sense for what does the AI need, like, and not like overloading it with more than it needs. Kind of like, well, if you had a human assistant helping you or a collaborator helping you, um, like you'll reach diminishing returns, like if you're spending days and days and days kind of giving it the human instructions about like how to help you write your book versus like giving them just enough to help you write what's in front of them. So I don't know. Maybe this is food for thought. Maybe it's overloading the audience, but hopefully it's helpful. And we're going to do more of these. You can reach us as well, like co-writer as a support mode. Support mode is instantly AI enabled with documentation about how Plotdrive works, but we see every message sent to the support chat in co-writer. Like Scott and I see it. So if anyone has something that like the documentation, the bot cannot answer, we'll see it. We can jump in, we can help you out. So yeah, I will stop talking. Thanks everybody for showing up.
Yeah, thanks everyone so much again. Keep an eye on the calendar. I'll drop it in chat. Thanks for joining us for our first training session. Appreciate you hopping through some of the paper cuts. I do realize everyone was muted at some point, but I do intend for this to be like fully uh, participatory and interactive, where you can even share your Plotdrive screen if you're comfortable with that. So we'll get those paper cuts ironed out, and we'd love to hear from you. So let's keep the conversation going. Happy writing. Take care. And everyone who's attended will get 1,000 free Plotdrive credits. I will add those today. They will appear in your settings and credits, and it will appear here in the add-on credits remaining. And once you see those, they'll be available for immediate use. We'll talk about credits and all that good stuff and AI tools and co-writer in another session. Okay, thanks again, everyone. Take care. I'm gonna end this room.